Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 3 of our story about Iromo, who was that little girl from Africa, from Sudan. Now, you remember when we last left Iromo, she was very, very sick. She had gone to see the witch doctor, and the witch doctor would not give her the full treatment because remember, they didn't have hardly anything to give to him, and he was demanding 2 sheep and 2 goats. And so they took her back home again, and right away, Loriomo went out looking for Ohide, which was Iromo's brother. Finally, he found Ohide. And when he explained that what was going on with Loriomo and that the witch doctor wanted 2 sheep and 2 goats, he started grabbing things. And he grabbed this one goat and he tied a vine around its neck. And he said, Ohide, go get that brown sheep over there and that other sheep over there. And quick, go get that black goat that's running away over there. Well, they did not like being tied together at all, and that black goat ran as fast as he could. Ohide had to jump over rocks and crawl through bushes and around the huts and things like that. But finally, he came back, and he had the goat. So they tied them all together, and off Loriomo went to the witch doctor's hut. Along the way, he thought, what would happen to Iromo if the doctor did not give any medicine to her? What would happen if she didn't get well? What was he going to do? What would happen to her if she died? Worse off, what would happen to me if I die? Well, finally, he got to the witch doctor's hut. And he said, Chief, look, I've brought you goats and I brought you sheep. 2 good goats and these really nice, wonderful sheep. Please give me the medicine for Iromo. Ugh, not right now. I'll bet you they're not good goats and good sheep at all, and I'm too busy drinking my beer right now. He says, oh, please, he pleaded, you must give me some medicine for Iromo. And then, after a pause, he said, and please, could you give something to me and my family to keep the evil spirit Ajok from attacking us too? Well, the witch doctor finally came out after a bunch of rustling in the hut, finally came out and said, very well, I guess the only way that I'll get rid of you is to give you this medicine. Oh, look at these goats and these sheep. They're tiny little things. Next time you want medicine, I'm going to be demanding more and more from you. Well, he took Loriomo into the hut, and first he mixed some yucky smelling liquids together to make some medicine for Iromo. He said, give this to her every few hours until she feels better. Well, then he mixed this gooey stuff with that goat hair and that red paint together that smelled horrible. And he said, and put these into all the cuts that I made onto her body. Then he took a wire and he bent it, a heavy wire, and bent it into a circle. And on that wire he put 4 objects. He put a piece of buffalo horn, a smooth stone, a little bit of wood, and a toenail of a goat. He said, wear this, and it will keep the evil spirit from getting you as well. Well, on the way home, all the way back, Loriomo thought about what would happen. Meanwhile, back at the village, there were a whole bunch of ladies that had gathered outside of Loriomo's hut. They were gathering dirt and throwing it up over themselves and moaning and crying because they had heard that Iromo might soon die. And they didn't want the evil spirit Ajok to leave Iromo's body after she died and to get into their bodies. And so they were trying to moan and yell and weep and throw this dirt over them so that the evil spirit Ajok would leave them alone. They were so busy that they didn't notice that a stranger had come into the village, somebody that they had never met before. And that stranger, seeing all the commotion around Loriomo's hut, decided to go see what was going on. And so he went, and at the back edge of the crowd, there was an old lady. And he said, "What's going on?" She says, "Oh, Loriomo's daughter, Iromo, is soon going to die. She's so sick. And Loriomo has gone to the witch doctor to get some medicine. But I don't think the witch doctor's medicine is going to help her. I think she is too sick for any help." Well, the crowd suddenly got quiet because they saw Loriomo coming up through, coming down the road toward them. And when Loriomo saw the commotion, he said, "What is wrong? What's happened? Is the child dead? What's going on? Tell me. Let me through. I'm the girl's father. Can't you see?" Well, he goes inside and he gives the medicine to his wife. And she forced some of that yucky stuff, drinking stuff, down into Iromo's mouth. Oh, she tried to spit it out, but the mother just pushed it right back in again. Oh, it was foul smelling and it tasted horrible. But she finally got it down her throat. And he said, "Here, put this on all of the cuts that the witch doctor made." And he gave her that ugly pasty stuff with the goat hair in it and the red paint. Well, then he said, "And look," and he showed her the bracelet. He says, "Look, that evil spirit won't get me." But the mother said, "Yes, it won't get you. But what about Iromo? What's going to happen to her? What will happen if she dies?" Well, Loriomo didn't know what was going to happen, and he was just upset. So he got up and he went outside. When he got outside, there was that man that was out there, that stranger that was out there. And he saw Loriomo come out of the hut, and so he pushed his way through the crowd. He said, "Hello." Loriomo said, "Hello." He says, "I hear that your daughter is sick, and it looks like the witch doctor's medicine isn't helping her." And Loriomo just shook his head. He says, "I've come here to spend the night. I've traveled far, and I still have a long ways to go, and I've come here to spend the night, and I have a friend in this village that I think will let me stay the night." Well, Loriomo said, "Where did you come from?" "Oh, I was very, very sick, and I went to this village far, far away because I heard that they had strong medicine. And look, I'm better. I'm able to walk now. I'm feeling fine now." Loriomo listened and said, "Well, where is this village?" "Well, it's about 2 days of walking and 1 night away. It's long, long away." "Well, do you think it would help my daughter, Iromo?" He says, "I don't know. It's far away." Well, Loriomo decided to see what was going to happen with the witch doctor's medicine. Well, finally, after a few hours, he goes back into the hut. Iromo was no better. And so they gave some more medicine, for some more of that yucky smelling and tasting medicine down her throat. But Iromo wasn't getting any better. In fact, since the first time they gave medicine, she had gotten even worse. She could barely talk. She could barely keep her eyes open. She was so sick. She was such a sick girl. "Enough," said Loriomo. "I am going to this village that has the strong medicine to see if they can help my daughter." He said, "Quick, wife, get a gourd and put some grain in the gourd. We're going to be traveling for a couple days." Well, Iromo's mother had never heard talk like this about a witch doctor or some other doctor that had stronger medicine than the witch doctor. But she knew better than to ask questions, so she got some grain and put it into this gourd, this half of a gourd that had been cut in half so it looked like a bowl. And then she gathered a handkerchief together, and she put some grain in that handkerchief and wrapped it up. Meanwhile, outside the hut, some men took an old cow skin and they put Iromo in the middle of it. Then they tied up the ends and put a piece of bamboo through it so that they carried her kind of like in a hammock like this there's poor, sick Iromo being carried by these two strong men. These two strong men picked her up and off they went. And many of the other people from the village decided to go too, wailing and throwing dirt over themselves. They wanted to see what was going to happen because nobody had ever defied the witch doctor and decided that the witch doctor's medicine was no good. Nobody had ever gone to some other witch doctor or some other village to get more medicine. And so off they went. They traveled all night and all day or all night into the next day, and then all night again. Every once in a while they would stop and they would rest, and in the evening they would make this thick porridge where they would put all this flour and this grain in there that they had chopped up to make, they had ground it up to make flour, and they had to stir it constantly. And then when it was finally done, they all reached in with their fingers and they got a bunch of this thick, yucky porridge out and they ate it. Well, it made them feel better, but poor Iromo, it didn't make her feel better at all. She was one sick girl. This whole time, she didn't even know what was going on. Usually she was sleeping because she was so sick that she was, unconscious the whole time. Every once in a while, you would hear her moan or groan from inside the hammock. Finally, far into the evening of the next day, about 2 o'clock in the morning, they got to the village that the stranger had talked about. What a strange village this was. The houses were made out of mud, just like their houses were, but they weren't round. They were square, and they had windows, and the doors were so tall you could walk right in. Usually in Africa, especially in their village, you had to crawl in, and you had to crawl around inside. You couldn't stand up, like in our houses that we have here. You couldn't stand up. Well, Iromo went to the window and said, "Hello, hello, madam, madam." Well, he heard a voice that said, "Yes, what do you want?" He says, "Oh, I want medicine for my daughter Iromo. She's so sick. Please give us medicine. Somebody told us to come here." Well, she got the door all of a sudden opened, and they looked, and it was the strangest thing that they had ever seen. They just stood there and stared. So what was the strange thing that they had never seen? Was Iromo going to get better? Would the medicine of this new doctor, this new witch doctor, whatever it was, would it help? You'll have to come back tomorrow and find out. Bye for now.